On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we are talking all about Star Trek Discovery 404, All Is Possible, and 405, The Examples, right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you get to listen in on this continuing Star Trek conversation that two friends have been having since they were 6 years old. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
Good to talk to you, Dave. We had to miss last week because you had some computer issues, but...
Yeah, my computer died.
Yeah, completely kaput. We were able to get you back set up and get you running again, which is exciting. Got you on the Mac train. Choo choo.
Not completely of my own volition, but we're kicking and screaming from a PC I built with my friend 12 years ago.
Yes.
And now to a tiny little thing that sits on this tiny little shelf, and I don't even know what the hell to do with it.
Yeah, it's hilarious to go from like a tower to basically a coaster, and it's like way more powerful. Pretty great. He got the 2021 Mac Mini, the M1. For those of you in the know, you know what I'm talking about. Woo! Okay, let's get to the show, because we are gonna have to make this a tighter episode because I have holiday things going on, and we've got 2 episodes to talk about. So let's do it.
So this is All Is Possible, episode 404, where Tilly and Adira lead a team of Starfleet Academy cadets on a training mission that takes a dangerous turn. Meanwhile, Burnham is pulled into tense negotiations on Navarre. I liked this episode pretty well, actually. I felt like the A plot of Tilly and Adira being on that mission that goes awry, it felt very Galileo 7 to me, like from the original series, where they're working together and there's a creature outside of the shuttle, and kind of an old standard. There was also a Picard and Wesley episode that I don't remember the name of on TNG that was very much like that.
Yeah, it had a very like classic sort of just stranded sci-fi horror genre vibe, which I absolutely enjoyed, and like really got to build on Tilly's character and her like kind of earning that spot of leadership, and no longer, and I mean, this is a huge episode. I mean, the big headline here is that Tilly leaves the show, or at least leaves the ship.
She left the ship. She's still a regular on the show, so
right.
I'm sure we'll see her again.
Oh, yeah.
But I couldn't help but feel like this was just big, flaming backdoor pilot for the Starfleet Academy show that Kurtzman has said they've been talking about for a minute. So interesting,
because I was not expecting a Starfleet Academy show to be in this time period.
Well, why the hell not?
I don't know.
Seems the perfect time.
Yeah, I guess just all the stuff with Discovery and what century is this? The 33rd?
I don't know. I don't keep track anymore.
But like the 33rd century stuff just feels it still feels very particular to Discovery to me.
Yeah.
And then like, we still have Strange New Worlds and a possible Section 31 coming, and like we know that they sent Georgiou somewhere, and I'm assuming that would be back towards like the regular timeline. So I don't know. It's just interesting. But I could totally see Tilly being a good fit for that sort of a show.
Yeah, they are still saying, very recently they've said that, they are still working on the Section 31 show, so.
Yeah. Well, I really like this as a backdoor pilot for a Academy show, because it was willing to kind of go all the way and didn't really pull its punches. Like they lost a crewman pretty early, which was pretty intense, and then you had these like socio-political issues between the students that like were real, like very real and very heavy, I guess. So it was nice to see that, and not just like a bunch of goodies scaling a mountain because Starfleet. I don't know. Like I really liked they're trying to come around the star. They see something in Starfleet they want to be like, but they are not that yet. That's what it's all about, man. And this episode was, I mean, like not only a backdoor pilot, but it's kind of a microcosm of what a show like that could be.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I kind of think Kovich was a little wasted here. I was sort of just like, what are we doing? Like, he's just telling Tilly to take care of some cadets, like, and offer a job. Like, to me, in Kovich's previous appearances, he seemed like the smoking man, from X-Files. And now he's just sort of like reluctant, higher up who tells people things.
Right. What is his actual role? Do we know? Or like they were very specific not to tell us the first episode he was in.
I mean, we found out he was a doctor last time on this episode. And the subsequent episode, which we're about to talk about, is also features him. It seems like he was well liked last season, so they're bringing him back a bunch. But like you're right, he was, like you said, the smoking man, or like just a background mysterious character, and now he's just like the guy talking it through. I don't know. It does feel a little. I like him still a lot. His appearance doesn't feel as heavy as it did in previous incarnations. Right. There was certainly a certain weight to it when he was around before, and now it just sort of feels like, why are you here?
Yeah. Like if you're as heavy as you felt before, then why are you getting involved in this? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe they're overusing him a little bit if they want to keep that air about him.
Part of me just wonders if, like, because I know David Cronenberg is a fan, so if he was just like, I want to do more, and they're like, okay, I mean, we're not going to tell David Cronenberg no.
Right, for sure.
But we don't really have a thing for you right now, but you can do this. Okay.
Yeah, he's just a doctor who, like in this next episode we're about to talk about, he's a counseling Colbert, like, in very smoking man style, though, like the very like cold, calculating, truth telling way. It still has the same personality, even though he is a little less weighty, as we say.
Yeah, but I liked this. I liked Tilly needing to take a step back. I liked them somewhat resolving her arc at this point. Coming to a different life choice anyway. Yeah. That was nice.
Yeah, I agree. And just it's interesting to see a character, and this happens in real life, I feel like, I was about to say all the time, but I don't think that's true. But something that does happen in life is the idea that, like, you've had this goal for so long, you've had this project for so long, you've had this thing you're aiming at for so long, and then some of the biggest moments in life, and sometimes the most relieving moments in life, is when you realize, oh, no, that's not what I want to do anymore. Like, this is not who I am, why I was doing that, and who I was doing it for. Like, they're not me anymore. So why keep beating my head against a wall that doesn't want me to pass through it,
Speaking of which, man, I got to talk to you about this podcast.
Fair.
No, and I liked that Adira got some experience making friends and kind of stepping outside of their comfort zone. That was also, for people, like me, I don't often see myself on television. I don't feel like, anyway. And but when you have someone who doesn't know how to, like, talk to other people, like, I certainly felt I related to it in a way, like, or at least a past version of myself related to it.
Yeah. You still don't talk to people, but you've lost the desire to.
Right. Which is, it was just funny because when I was a teenager, I had no desire. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to college, I was like, I kind of have some desire. I would like to talk to people. And then I was like, oh, people are shit. Never mind. What I really didn't care for was the B plot, where, I mean, I liked the idea that Rillick and what was her name? What's the Navarre the president, whatever her name. I liked that they were like, hey, look, we're caught up in red tape. We need your help. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Figure out a way. Yeah. And I really enjoyed Saru and the Navarre president, Tarina, that was her name. Yeah. Tarina, I like their chemistry. I really like their chemistry, and I hope something develops there. What I did not like was, they said, like, we have to have an escape clause at any time, we can just leave. And then Burnham's solution was, I'll form a committee that I'll be on. Yeah. Everyone's like, yep, that works. I'm like, that the committee was ill-defined. Like, there was no definition to this committee. Like, it doesn't address the original issue of mistrust. She has a connection to both worlds or both factions, but at the same time,
she has been clearly on one side of that issue. That's the thing that bothered me about it. So I like the idea of the committee, and it could, for one thing, they say it's not just for Navarre, it's for all worlds. Basically, it's a committee designed to make sure that Starfleet doesn't ignore its member worlds, and I think that's a great idea. Like someone advocating for individual member worlds, that's great.
But it doesn't tell me how that fixes the problem of Navarre wanting to be like, hey, I'm leaving now. It
provides an answer to the underlying problem, which the reason they wanted to be able to leave is because previously, when Starfleet got too big for itself, it started to ignore its member worlds, and they didn't trust it not to do that again. So this committee does address that in a roundabout way, in a way that it's like trying to address the source of the problem. But I agree with you that, like, first off, I feel like Burnham being on the thing is except for maybe that the people trust her. She's like
the bridge between what is and what was, and her mother is connected. And
so there's like some... It's the kind of stuff that I don't see Vulcans buying into, right? It's exactly the thing I don't see Vulcans buying. And it also just was another moment where it's like, the reason we can solve this problem is because Burnham's special. Like, you know what I mean? Yep. Like, instead of like writing a solution or her solving a problem between two people, she just like inserted herself as like the conduit to fix the problem, which like is not great for future when you're not there or whatever.
As much as I really hate the argument that Burnham is a Mary Sue,
right?
It's these kinds of things that make people say that.
Sure.
It's this kind of storytelling. It's this exact kind of plot that like that is where Discovery constantly falls short. They get loosey-goosey with the details, and they go with like an emotional resolution or a hope speech that, I kind of feel like the Federation and Navarre should have been like, well, that all sounds good, but what does any of that mean?
Right. Like, give me logic. Like, this is Navarre we're talking to.
Yeah.
Which seems more Vulcan than Romulan. And like, we need those hard facts. We need the logic thrown at us, not your platitudes. And see, here's the thing. It's not so much that she's a Mary Sue. Like, Mary Sue, the whole concept is that they're just good at everything and perfect. It's that she's the shmoo. Do you know that reference? I only know it from Lucky Number Slevin, and he says it like she's always. It's not that she does everything perfectly. It's that she is written to be a solution to all the problems instead of her being a character solving problems. Yeah, which is every captain and every she is often just like, but I'm half Vulcan, half human. In this case, that's the thing. Or it's in another case, it's like, but we have a spore drive. In another case, it's, but I'm from the past. Like, it's always these but my mom is the person on this mission. It's like a lot of little things that are so specific to her character that it's just like, well, I kind of would rather explore ideas rather than be so specialized to a character. So I agree with you. It's weird. It's a weird moment, but for the most part, I liked that B plot. It's just I didn't like the resolution.
Yeah,
and that's the problem with any of these sorts of political wrangling episodes where you really do where you propose a problem, like a real to life problem. These two people disagree with something, and then it's like, now solve it. And it's like, those problems in life are hard. And so coming up with a solution is hard. And this show doesn't always pass the test on those.
Like, one of the things that TNG did sometimes that I liked was, because, they always presented Picard as this great diplomat. So he would be talking to a couple of different races and they're trying to hammer stuff out. And then they'd come to some sort of hope speech bullshit. And then someone would be like, how did it go? And Picard's like, well, progress has been made, but we have a long way to go. But,
Right.
you know, he would say it with an air of hope. Like, but we finally see the light through the trees for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it wasn't just like, sounds good to us.
Right. Well, and I will say, like, this was, I'm going to do this role until it is no longer necessary. I'm a bridge. But it did, yeah, I'm with you, though. I'm totally with you. Okay, well, let's get on to this next episode. What's this next episode about?
This was the examples. This was 405. It was the latest one to come out. Burnham and Book race to evacuate a group of stranded colonists in the anomaly's path as one of the Federation's brightest scientists comes aboard the USS Discovery to do high-stakes research with Saru and Stamets. Now, a lot of Culber's storyline in this episode connects with the previous episode that I meant to mention. He's doing therapy with Book, and he's got Book on the floor, like crouched down in this. And I'm just like, you guys are in the future with programmable matter. He's using programmable matter. Can you get him a seat that doesn't kill his back? Why does he got to be hunkering down on the floor? But no, Culber has a thing about, you know, how he, you know, what you do is you wipe it away. And then Book says to him, you know, you seem like you've got some sand to wipe away yourself or whatever. And I like that they've been slowly increasing a level of distress with Culber. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that comes to a head in the examples.
For sure.
I like that he's running himself thin. And I did like that Kovich, even though I was necessarily not thrilled that it was Kovich and his role here, I did like the point he made. Like, just the very, like, dude, I'm busy. You died. You're having an existential crisis. You don't know what purpose you have. Why did you get to be a miracle when so many other people die and don't come back?
Yeah.
That about covered. I've got a 2:00. Well,
there's also a big thing that resonated with me, and it's actually something like my therapist said to me a few months ago, and I really like, is like, yeah, you may have all these responsibilities, but you're also a human being, you know, like, mm-hmm. I have had a lot of family issues this year. So, you know, I had just a lot of like responsibilities and things I had to pick up. And like it sounds so stupid, but I just wasn't getting good sleep. And my therapist was just like, yeah, you just got to get sleep. Like you've got to set up a room that is your room to sleep and that you get enough rest so that you can do all those responsibilities and help. Like if you're not if you're not taking care of yourself in some way, then you're not good to anybody, you know? Mm-hmm. And I just really resonated with that part of that storyline.
Yeah. I mean, that's a real thing.
Yeah, man.
In this episode, we find out that the DMA is created by a person or people.
Yeah. Man-made.
Yeah. And I love that they mentioned the Metrons and the Iconians. A lot of people theorize that the Red Angel was Iconian. That's really cool that they actually mentioned them. They talked about the Q. I liked all that.
Yeah.
Had, a lot of really cool little references.
No contact with the Q in 600 years.
Yeah, what the hell's that about?
Right? I mean, I guess, whatever. I guess they do what they want, but
yeah.
600 years, like, did something happen 600 years ago? Drove them away? I wonder.
I don't know, man. I don't know. So it's a big question, but it seems like a very pointed statement to make. Like, why say that you haven't seen a Q in 600 years? That's so weird. Like, what are they getting at? Yeah,
it is a weird thing to say because, like, why not leave them as like, oh yeah, the Q are just a thing that still occurs and we still have to deal with because Q could pop onto a Discovery episode if they wanted them to or whatever. But to be like, the Q have an appearance. It will add weight if they ever do. It'll add this like, whoa, they're back. Interesting.
So that's exciting and interesting.
All the stuff we discussed so far is the B plot line there. Like the A plot line was this evacuation of this planet and sort of breaking into this prison because there were 6 prisoners that the society did not deem worth evacuating. And so Burnham and Book have to go in and get them. And I liked that whole thing a lot. Like trying to get real justice for these people was nice, but also the really emotionally charged moments of one of the prisoners feeling that he didn't deserve redemption, didn't deserve a second chance because he actually did murder someone.
Right.
That was tough.
I liked all of that. I was annoyed at how angry Book was with Michael over that, or leaving the guy. I was like, dude, the dude wanted it.
Yeah, I get it. Like, Book, though, just saw his planet destroyed, and he is trying to do penance for that by, like, saving the next world.
Yeah.
And so someone making the decision to let themselves die to the DMA is, like, I think particularly insulting to Book.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's also setting up something with Tarka, who is the scientist who... Is it Tarka? Is I was saying that right?
Yeah.
He's the scientist who's on board working on the DMA. In the last moments of the episode, he goes to Book to talk to him, and I think there's something going on there, because I don't think that's the last we've seen of Tarka and Book, because Tarka needs someone to... he's working on the next generation spore drive, and he needs someone to pilot it, and he doesn't have anyone yet. So, you know, going to Book and sharing a drink with him at the end, and having some rifts forming between Book and Burnham, give me the idea that they're going to, like, try to, you know, have Book sort of leave Discovery to go work with Tarka.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what that thing is on the back of his neck. I don't remember that from anything.
I don't know. I was wondering. Yeah, nothing on the old Wicca
Memory Alpha. No,
Memory Alpha. Yeah, I was assuming it's some sort of brand. It looks like, but I don't remember what that would be from.
Yeah, a Ryzen tramp stamp. I don't know. No, I have no idea.
I don't know, man.
He was a dick, but I liked that guy. Like, he was an interesting character. He was really fun.
He's the exact fun kind of dick to watch, you know?
Was it me, or did Tig Notaro seem like she was just sort of going through the motions in this episode?
Oh, no, I completely disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah,
she just seemed a little tired.
I thought she was a shining star on this episode, honestly.
Okay.
Are you talking about the actress, like Tig was, or like you thought the character?
Yeah, I mean, like, the character had some good lines, but I felt like Tig was just seemed really worn out. And
interesting.
Like, she wasn't delivering the lines like she would normally deliver them. She just seemed really... It was the Doctor Who thing. It was, doesn't she look tired?
Interesting. I did not think so. I thought that she...
Okay.
That's sort of her whole thing, is that sort of deadpan thing. And I thought so many of her lines were so wonderful. And I thought she delivered them in a very Tig way. She's definitely doesn't show her emotions on her face, you know? She's very deadpan, as I said, but like, I think that's just a continuation of that intentional character choice. I didn't think she was not bringing it, as it were. Like, when she said, I laughed out loud multiple times at her lines. When they, like, what did they say? Science is never done with safety, or something like that. She's just like, I don't think that's true. Just like direct, like, defiance of Tarka.
Yeah, I liked the lines, but I did wonder if she was sick or something.
Oh, interesting.
It was just something, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
She's had health problems. She had a cancer a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
Before she got booked on Discovery.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, you know, who knows? But she's, I thought she was wonderful. She has that low energy, low affect that I really like. And her other line, what was it? That's the closest you've ever come to killing us. And that's saying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That was
fun. She
delivers every line from that character as if she's doing her stand-up, which is very similarly deadpan. And I don't know. I'm here for it.
Okay.
It's weird and different than other Star Trek, for sure.
Yeah, she just felt a little off to me, but that's fine.
Yeah, I hear you. this ancestor egg or whatever it was.
The orb.
That ancestor orb.
The Ancestry.com promotion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it really did look like that at the end.
I love that, like, all the little people hanging on the tree are all, like, blinking and moving around on, like, a loop.
Yeah, it's very Harry Potter.
Yeah, and they look like just, like, little, like, almost like little, like, shaking leaves.
Yeah.
It's real weird. It
was touching, though, and the only thing I kind of wished is she'd had a chance to tell the guy on the planet that had happened, or like that she was on the ship and that she was safe or something.
Yeah.
Because the guy's about to die and he just has time to say her name. I kind of wanted that conversation to go on like 10 more seconds and her to be like, I see she's on the ship and she's having a child of her own, it looks like, or something, like whatever, like some sort of like, she has a past, she has a future, like the guy was upset because he'd killed her father and taken this the royal family egg or whatever, and so he had taken away her future and her past, and so to let him know that, like, yes, you did a bad thing, but, like, the victim survived, and I liked it. I liked the whole storyline a lot.
The way you describe it sounds like it's a freaking MacGuffin from a Penguin episode of the Batman, The ancestral family egg.
Yeah, it does. Oh, man. Well, I dug them. 2 good episodes, and we rounded them up in 30 minutes or less. That's right, people. That's what we do here. Not normally, but this week, because
not normally.
we had a little bit of a rush on us. But let's see. So there was some feedback, eh?
We did, and it was Stuart Little,
our good friend Stu.
Yeah, man, and he sent us an email because you asked for it specifically. Yeah. He said Matt asked for it. He says you wanted feedback on this, and feedback you will get. Starting with Choose to Live. I think in general it's a good move to do episodic stories like this about things that can happen now the burn has been resolved and dilithium and warp travel are a viable thing. In fact, I would prefer that to another big mystery cataclysm unless the DMA is what I theorized to you, Dave. I don't actually remember what that was. But Stu's been a listener of mine for years. He knows I don't remember shit. He says that if it's not that, then it's probably like something the Packlets caused by accident trying to develop replicator technology or something. Still, it was mostly good to me with one annoying plot armor element. When Burnham and Tilly were told they had to use swords, they made a big point of emphasizing they weren't really equipped to use them and would be at a disadvantage. Yet, when they get attacked, not only do they not take a scratch, but the Romulan Quat Malat with them is the one who dies. Anything to get the alien-human ration down, right? Dicks. I think he meant ratio.
Yeah.
Though, if OO had been with them, I could have totally bought her holding her own. People who grew up in Luddite communities probably are more likely to know how to use swords.
Ooh, that's a good call.
Yeah, that might have been interesting.
Yeah, I would probably have preferred OO to Tilly in that situation. But I know they were trying to like fit in this. They were trying to like focus on Tilly because they're getting ready to have her leave the ship, and so
yeah.
Sometimes these shows are so focused on the overarching story. It's just what Stu is saying. Like he's prefer this to be a little more episodic. Sometimes they're so focused on that overarching story that they like fit in characters, and then you're like, oh, that character would have fit in better. Yeah, it would have. Why didn't they think of that?
Yeah. Because
they had time constraints and they needed to get a certain story told.
Like, hey, Tilly's got this whole thing going on. What do you think? Oh, you got, nah, I ate some bad clams. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and her clams.
And then he also gave us one for All Is Possible. He says, Starfleet Academy backdoor pilot much. I did actually like the subplot and the fact they clarified as soon as possible the crash wasn't a hollow simulation, which I'm sure we all suspected at first, but it really did feel conspicuous with how it came about, especially with Tilly leaving abruptly. Also, Kovich being the one to assign this to Tilly seems a little weird. I know, man, that's what I said. Unless Starfleet Academy has a secret sub-program for lessons for Section 31 cadets, And given the darker, edgier situations a lot of these post-burn youths have grown up in, it would actually lend itself to them being amenable to Section 31 methods. Now, that sounds really cool to me, so I expect nothing at all like that to actually happen. Now, normally I would agree with you, Stu, on that one, but they had like 10 cadets in that class, like that was like signing up at the beginning of the season. So I kind of feel like they're like, what the hell keeps happening to all of our cadets? And Kovich is like, nothing. Don't worry about it. I'll be over here in the dark making plans for not cadets.
I think Kovich is just like not as Section 31 as we once thought. His attitude in that first episode that we were like, ooh, who's this guy? Is just more about what he described to Colbert, which is like, well, when you first got here, we didn't trust you. You know, you held yourself in this certain way, and we were like, we're not that way. And we were like, how can you be real? And we didn't trust your existence. So he was just like a senior member of the Federation looking at these people like, who the hell are these guys? Mm-hmm. Now he's sort of like warmed up to them a little bit.
Yeah. And Stu continues, Book and Hughes' plot was, I'm starting to think that there's so much emphasis on loss and mourning this season as Discovery's writer's way of doing a kind of COVID story with all the grief that is brought in real life. Well, yeah. They're probably really jealous that the Picard people are likely going to use the time travel to the present day to directly comment on various social issues of our time. After all, the Bell riots are only a few years away from us. Michael solves diplomacy problem in a day, trademark, was, well, you can guess. It just felt way too pat, and even having her be on the council she suggests feels like something that wouldn't really happen that easily. Also, it was weird and maybe a little offensive. She was reminding the president of the Cardassian-Bajoran conflict when that whole thing began and ended after she traveled to the future. Still, at least I got a story that felt kind of like it was about Brexit, rather than the many ham-fisted Trump wall allegories I've had to suffer in my genre TV viewing over the last 5 years. Next episode seems a bit more meaty, though. Take care, guys. Thank you for the feedback, Stu, and I agree with almost everything.
Yeah. A lot of that we even said in our discussions. I like it. How direct do you think they'll go with social commentary? And like, will they be in our world when they come back to our time? You know what I mean?
I don't know, man.
Because they've never done that. I mean, they've done like obviously visiting a time period, but they've never like gone back and directly commented on like, let's say, you know, a political party or whatever.
I mean, they sort of did, you know, like whenever they've gone back in time, it's generally to whatever time it is currently in the real world. And they've, you know, they definitely did in the original series make some commentary. I think they did a little bit in that Voyager 2-parter. And they wound up sneaking in some designs for, like, I think it was the Botany Bay or something to suggest that there was a secret war going on, which was nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they were literally in 1996.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and they definitely had, like, some low-key shit going on in Star Trek 4 about, you know, Chekhov being a Russian wanting to, asking a police officer what the directions to the nuclear vessel is.
Yeah, but it was played for all jokes and not really like, they're not like trying to make a political statement there.
I think they were to some degree, just because when the guys who like interrogate Chekhov are such asshats.
Right.
Like, I think there was a bit of that there, but yeah, well, you know, not necessarily political, but they were definitely doing an environmental thing with Star Trek 4.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, don't kill all the whales. You never know. There might be aliens who are talking to them.
Star Trek has never done political or commentary. I'm saying that, like, specifically going to a time period and being like, but it seems that, like, I thought it seemed like in the trailer they're doing some sort of like past sort of like fascism thing, maybe. I don't remember. I'm maybe blurring it all together. I need to rewatch that trailer. Because we're doing something with like sort of like that's right. The current day has some sort of like crazy rule or something, or they're part of some sort of crazy like fascist organization instead of Starfleet, and now they have to go back and change whatever was changed. Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I remember that being in the trailer. Okay.
Yeah, there was some kind of like dark fascist version of the Federation, and there's some
of current timeline or whatever.
Yeah. I don't remember enough.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's been too long.
Thank you, Stu, for writing in, buddy. Anytime you have any thoughts or want us to touch on any particular thing, that goes for everybody. Hit us up at StarTrekUcast@gmail.com.
That's it.
StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. That's it. So hit us up there, and we will try to get your feedback in at the end of the show. I just freaking love Star Trek, and I love talking about it with you, Dave. And I'd love for this community to grow, and for more people to get involved and like be throwing out what they're thinking about these episodes. Because I don't know, I'm particularly excited about Picard starting up soon, and all these new shows. There seems like there's a lot of potential there. I feel like Discovery has some baggage that it's still sort of cleaning up from, and so does Picard, honestly. So like, I'm excited to see what they can do now that they've sort of like, maybe this creative team's got their sea legs, and they're like, maybe they'll be able to. Maybe fifth time's a charm with a pilot,
Yeah, and you know what? We're not saying I'm saying every Star Trek series has baggage, has its problems.
Absolutely.
All of them leave some kind of mess canonically. All of them leave some kind of mess logically within story. Like it happens
for sure.
We're just, going episode by episode or trying to, and giving you our honest opinions.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if it angers you.
I'm not.
I'm not going to change my opinion because you're angry.
I'm not sorry either.
I guess I'm not. I say I'm sorry, but I'm not, because if someone actually came and like wrote in and was just like, I can't believe you said that something that Michael did on the show lends to her being called a Mary Sue, I'd be like, but it did.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're upset. Because I'm a petty piece of shit.
I'm not glad they're upset. My point is, I think most of the time, if people are upset about an opinion, it's probably on them. So I guess that's why I'm saying I'm not sorry.
Like, how many people cut you off in traffic today, buddy?
Right. You got some things. You're trying to work some things out. I'm excited about Picard Season 2, and I'm excited about Strange New Worlds and Section 31. Those are like all particularly exciting to me. So, yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back soon, guys. Jolon True.
Live long. Live prosper.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.